Rice Fame Group supports the legacies of HBCUs. Hello, this is Lacy L Rice Jr. of Rice Fame Group, welcoming you to Chat with HBCU Champions, Season 3, Episode 6, featuring head coach Kenneth Blakeney from Howard University, whose men's basketball team won the 2024 MEAC Championship. Congratulations and welcome to the show, Coach.
Thank you, Mr. Rice. It's great to be with you again.
Oh, great to see you again. And congratulations once again for defending your title from last year.
Well, greatly appreciated. It was one of the tougher challenges I think I've ever had to do in life in general. Sometimes when you have a target and a bullseye on your back and it's the first time you've gone through it, the expectations and things that go along with being reigning champion makes some of those journeys a little bit more difficult and challenging. So we're very blessed and honored to have a chance to compete and represent Howard.
Okay. All right. Well, Coach, I know you have a very interesting backstory. So please tell us a bit about yourself, including your own playing experience and your coaching experience.
Yeah, well, born and raised in Washington, D.C., played at DeMatha Catholic High School for Hall of Fame coach Morgan Wooten. After being a part of the varsity program there for 3 years, I matriculated on to Duke University, where I was part of 2 national championships there in the early 90s and third Final Four team in 1994. Had many jobs in coaching as an assistant. Was out of coaching for a number of years and did private business in licensing where I worked with the NBA, NHL, Major League Soccer, NASCAR, some famous bands, the Macy Thanksgiving Day Parade, and a lot of other little projects along the way. And at the same time, I was doing consulting for Under Armour. So, I blame Steph Curry and Under Armour for getting me back into the college coaching ranks. Went on to volunteer at Columbia, and then the following year ended up as the head coach at Howard University. So it's been a magical ride, and I wouldn't change anything about it.
Okay, all right. So you've been associated with some top programs in your time, and I mean you mentioned DeMatha was one. I mean, for many years, one of the top programs in the country on the high school level. Of course, we all know the story of Duke, Coach K. And so how was it? How were you able to use those experiences in your coaching at Howard now?
Well, I'm glad you brought up the word experiences because it is. It's, being the way I look at sports, and I think the way my mentors also looked at sports, is that it's a tool that is a classroom educational type tool. And if you approach it that way, which my mentors did, and I think that's why they've been so successful and revered, coaches are mentors, coaches are teachers, coaches are educators, and our classroom just happens to be one that I think a lot of kids really aspire to be in. Sports and specifically for me, basketball is a tool and a vehicle to really prepare young men for the rest of their lives. So having a chance to sit in the classroom with, a couple of Hall of Famers, with, Morgan Wooten, Mike Krzyzewski, Coach Drizel, Mike Bray, who is the winningest coach in the history of Notre Dame, Coach Tommy Amaker, who's the winningest coach at Harvard. I've been lucky to associate myself with some of the best that have ever done it, and just feel real lucky that I've had those opportunities to learn from some of the great teachers in the sport.
Okay. So as far as like those national championships you want to do, have you used that as far as trying to motivate your athletes, to try to reach that particular level, or even just the final four in particular?
Yeah. Well, I think it helps, right? It's not anything that I talk about. And when I do, I talk about what great teams are made of and how great teams kind of navigate through their journey to become a champion. Um, it's more so for me. I think it allows buy-in a little bit more and gives me a little bit more credibility with my words, and that has helped so much. I think it's sped up our timeline. Quite honestly, being able to have guys understand that I was on a journey on teams and have gone to places of success. And for the guys that really want it and get it, they help with the buy-in to the other teammates.
Okay. Okay. Well, please tell us about this particular team. Who are some of your key athletes and their accomplishments throughout this season?
Well, this team was such a fascinating team to work with. It was when I looked at it preseason wise and on paper when we had all the commitments and everybody enrolled in school, I thought it could be a team that would have success. Um, the amount of success that this team had, I did not know what that would look like, but I thought that we would be a team right there that had a chance. And having guys that came back like a Bryce Harris, who was an all-league player this year and arguably the best player in the league. A Marcus Dockery, who was a third-team all-league guy, shot 40-something% from the three-point line. Really felt like, having Jelani Williams and his voice and presence back, even though he didn't finish up the season with us because of injury, a season-ending injury. Just having him and understanding his leadership and what he understands about winning and being able to convey that to our team really helped. And then we had, Seth Towns, which was arguably one of the top stories of, the offseason and also during the season. Seth had gone to Harvard and was an MVP of the league as a sophomore, had finished up his eligibility at Harvard and had several injuries that prevented him from fulfilling his eligibility at Harvard. Transferred to Ohio State and played a season there, but had some more eligibility to go. And did his undergrad at Harvard, master's at Ohio State, and wanted to come and start working on his PhD at Howard, excuse me. And with that, enrolled here and had a phenomenal season. Seth might have been second team all league and was just such a instrumental, I think, person to how we really, I think, evolved as a program. His leadership on and off the court was huge. His ability to kind of galvanize our team when we needed it to be galvanized was great. We had Joshua Strong, a young man that was a transfer from Minnesota Duluth, first year law student, which was so cool to see him balance the two, basketball and law school, and actually crushed it. He was a straight A student in law school this year, and a phenomenal leader, a phenomenal character person, and someone that really added great value to our program. Dominic Campbell, a young man that transferred from Notre Dame, who was 6'8", 6'9", 265 pounds, didn't play much at Notre Dame, but was a guy that really came on for us and had some moments that really helped propel us to the championship. So it was a collective effort, and our staff did a wonderful job, from our associate head coach Rod Balanas to Tyler Thornton, who's been with me from day one. Steve Ongley, who worked with me at Columbia University. We were assistants and shared an office. To Kendrick Saunders, our volunteer, Tremel Rags, one of our volunteer coaches, and Daniel Marks, our chief program strategist. All of those guys had very big instrumental roles in how we were able to kind of navigate the season a little bit.
Okay. So it sounds like you had quite a few transfers. Did you get them through the portal, or did they come more so the traditional route?
Yeah, well, we had at the end of our season 2 years ago, we thought that we were going to have the same team back for the next 2 years, but portal business is volatile.
Yeah.
And, in June, we got some calls that our three of our starters were entering the portal and they wanted to have an experience of playing at a higher level. And, so they entered their names. One went to Minnesota, one went to Tulane, and one went to Temple. And so it was at that moment we had to kind of get into the portal business a little bit and reload our team. So the turnover was, as I said, a lot, but I think we did a great job of really finding the right young men that can help us continue and sustain the success that we had. And we were really, blessed and lucky that we had a chance to compete for the regular season championship that we lost to Norfolk State in the last game of the season, and also winning the conference tournament championship, which allowed us to go to the NCAA tournament. So great year, and just was really lucky to be able to, I think, accomplish that feat and goal.
Okay. All right. Well, tell us about your conference and the competition that you played this year.
Yeah, well, so our conference is called the MEAC Conference. It's Mid-Atlantic Athletic Conference, and our schools go from South Carolina at South Carolina State to North Carolina Central. That's in Durham, North Carolina, Norfolk State. You go to us here in DC. You have Dell State, that's in Dover, Delaware. You have Coppin State and Morgan State, both in Baltimore. And then you have Maryland Eastern Shore, which is along the coastline of the Eastern Shore of Maryland. So 8 teams in the league, very competitive. I think that we have some of the best and brightest young coaches in the country. Several guys that have been up for jobs and have chosen to stay at their university because they believe in the bigger mission of HBCU athletics and educating our young men in a way. So it's really good. When you look at it, Norfolk State has been and North Carolina Central have been two of the perennial powers in this league. And, they've, for the last probably 6 to 8 years or a little longer than that, I know Lavelle Moten is sort of kind of the authority of, head coaches that are in this league. And Rob Jones as well has done an incredible job. So to have a chance to be included in conversations and, playing these guys in games that matter really has, I think elevated the league in a way that has brought more recognition to the league. We got Kevin Brodus down at Morgan State, who's an unbelievable coach. Stan Waterman at Delaware State. He's worked with, Team USA and their, 16U, and he's been a phenomenal high school coach. So there's a lot of really outstanding programs and coaches that come from the MEAC.
Okay. So if my math is correct, you play 14 conference games, and so you have to fill your schedule with out of conference opponents. Who were some of the top opponents that you play? How many of them went to the NCAAs this year?
Yeah, I don't know right offhand how many went to the NCAAs, but I mean, we were very lucky and fortunate to play Cincinnati at home last year, and which was a great matchup. We played some of our local teams that are here in the DMV area, the District, Maryland, and Virginia, with some natural rivals. We love playing some A10 schools. We obviously love stepping out and having some opponents that are Power 5 schools. So it kind of is a balance of how we do things. We played Rutgers on the road and played them really well. Played Georgia Tech on the road and lost by 1 possession, I think, or 2 possessions. We had Cincinnati at home, and lost by a possession or two in overtime. So we do some things that are with like-minded schools in terms of, their academic reputation and our academic reputation. So we've played some Ivies last year with UPenn and Yale. So we really try to find a balance of games that make sense for us in terms of our academic reputation and their academic reputation, but also like to challenge schools that have those Power Five brands as well.
Okay. Well, you mentioned Cincinnati at home, and that's not something that I guess most people who are familiar with HBCU athletics would normally hear. Uh, we would normally hear our HBCUs, no matter what level they're on, playing at a PWI. If that PWI has a reputation, which Cincinnati definitely does. So, how was you able to pull that off?
Well, I think the credit goes to Coach Wes Miller.
Mhm.
He really got it and understood it. It's when I'm in conversations with programs about us coming to them or with scheduling. I'm not going to sell our brand Howard short. We have an incredible brand and an incredible legacy, incredible history, and a lot of culture. And I think that, a lot of our PWI coaches, Power Five coaches, owe the young men, the young black men that play in their programs, this educational experience. When we talk to them, we talk about the ability to come to the African American Museum, to take their kids on a trip to Capitol Hill, which most of these schools probably have a representative that worked there. Um, is it possible for them to go to the White House to expose them to something that is really cool and really neat and not something that everybody gets a chance to do? We have the Martin Luther King Museum. Um, but the other thing is too to bring your team and play at Howard, one of the most renowned HBCUs in the world, and to see our culture, to see our students, to see our band, to see how we do things at Howard. A lot of these young men that are African American have never experienced those kind of cultural things that they should probably experience, at an HBCU campus. So, um, for me, it's more about an educational opportunity than just a basketball game.
Right. Yeah, because at one point, and I guess many of our current generation might not realize that there was a point in time, actually even during my lifetime, when they could not get that scholarship or attend that PWI. Is the last major PWI programs that integrated that happened in 1972. So that's what, the last 52 years. So and I do let quite a few of them know that, especially if they have a certain type of attitude towards HBCUs, like, hey bro, you wouldn't have been able to play at that school a few decades ago. So, be thankful for the education that you're getting, yes, but don't look down on the ones who, are still going to the HBCUs, because HBCUs are still turning out high quality professionals, and in every field. So yeah, I'm,
Absolutely.
I'm, I'm glad you mentioned that. Your conversation with some of those coaches. That's great.
No, absolutely. I like for me, we can figure out a way to meet the guarantee requirement that we have to meet to really help our program and help our athletic department, right? But it's more important for me to understand and for the opponent that we're talking to, the PWI schools that we're talking to, that hey, our brand means something to a lot of people too, and we have a lot of value with our brand. So I'm never going to devalue it. I'm never going to sell Howard University short, and I'm going to position it in a way that I want all these other people to understand what Howard means in the lexicon of our world.
Right. Right. Well, tell us about your postseason.
Yeah, the postseason was. I wish it was better. We had a chance to make it to the NCAA tournament. We were in the first weekend tournament in Dayton, which was really cool because Dayton has such a basketball rich history, and to have a chance to play at that arena, which we've all seen games there, and kind of dreamed about being there in March. It meant something. So sold out crowd and a great buzz around the game. And unfortunately, the result didn't come out the way we wanted it to. Wagner did a great job in beating us. And, you know, but what a great experience for our young men. What a great experience for our program. And what a great experience for our university and alums. To get back there back to back years, which never happened in the history of our program at a Division I level. And hopefully we can keep building and sustaining that kind of success moving forward.
Okay. And well, since you mentioned it, how many championships has Howard won? We know that they have two directly under you the last 2 years. So that talks volumes towards your coaching and your success. But how many overall has Howard won? Well, and to be fair, let's talk about the modern times. The like you said, the D1.
Yeah. So since Howard has been Division I, Howard has gone to I think 3 or 4 NCAA tournaments. I know '92 was one, and then the last two with 23 and 24 are the ones that I'm aware of. I don't know. I think 86, 87. I'm not sure if that was a Division two, or was that Division I? But Howard had just gone Division I right during that period. So not sure, but since 1992, Howard has gone to 3 NCAA championships.
Okay. And it seems that over the last few years, Howard has won several conference championships in various sports. So, and that speaks volumes towards your athletic director and the work that the athletic director put in hiring quality coaches. And so, speak a bit about that too, about the culture there in Howard athletics.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about this yesterday. It just, Mr. Kerry Davis, our athletic director, has done as good of job as anybody. As I think selecting great, talented coaches and bringing them to Howard and giving them, the necessary resources that they need to succeed. When you look at it, football has gone to back-to-back MEAC championships and been MEAC champs. Women's basketball, they won it I think 3 years ago and have gone to back, 3 MEAC tournament championship games. We've had the fortunate to be able to go to back-to-back MEAC tournaments and winning those. When you look at volleyball, they won several years ago. When you look at softball, they won several years ago. Track and field has been dominant. Swimming has been dominant. Golf has been dominant. So I give all the credit to Mr. Kerry Davis and President Wayne Frederick that was here, who hired me, and now we have Dr. Vincent, who are our new president, that have just positioned I think everyone for a lot of success here at Howard University.
Okay. All right. So did you earn any honors this year?
Yeah, I didn't get kicked out of my house. I think that's the first honor. My daughter and my wife, they gave me the honor and let me come home every night, even after losses. So my little daughter, who's 7, she, when we lose, she goes, "Daddy's not going to be happy." So it's she gets she takes care of me, and my wife takes care of me as well. But I was. I think the only honor that I received this year was outstanding coach of the MEAC tournament. which is fine. I think our team deserves all the credit, and certainly our staff that does a lot of work that's unseen and unknown to a lot of people. And then again, all the credit goes to Mr. Kerry Davis for bringing us in and giving us an opportunity to work at Howard. And what an honor, though. I mean, Mr. Rice, to have a chance to say that we work at one of the greatest universities in the country, and we represent them, and we're a small part of the success of that major university is pretty neat.
Right, right. Wow, that's great. Especially not getting kicked out. So congratulations
It's an
on
honor to come home, man. It's an honor to come home.
that. Well, what do you look for in your prospects? And can you tell us about some of your current signees?
Yeah. So with our prospects, there's kind of like four things that I look for. Number one is character. It's really important. Family is a big part of what we have established with our culture here. So to have the right young men come in and be a part of our culture, of our program, of our family, our university, it's really important. So first and foremost, our culture. Then we talk about toughness. One of the things that I learned really fast in our league is that, we have some guys that are really tough and some coaches that are obviously tough as well. And we had to upgrade our toughness big time. We had to upgrade our basketball IQ. So, what is your feel for the game? What's your knowledge of the game? Are you able to read and react and make plays that are the right plays at the right time through being able to read and react what's going on the floor? And then the last one is shooting. Like shooting is a big part of what we do, and so it's that's sort of the formula that I look for when we recruit, and obviously great students that can have success at Howard. That's really important to know that we are bringing in young men that are engaged in campus. They are part of what's going on with activities in campus. We have guys that are part of fraternities. We have guys that are part of business groups. We have guys that I mentioned in law school, guys that are getting their PhDs. So all of those things are really important with, I think, how we evaluate and look at young men. And just some of our high school kids that we have coming in. We have Isaiah Brown, who's at Bergen Catholic. He's a point guard, 6 foot. And I think he'll come in and be one of the best passers that we've had at Howard, especially in my tenure there. And I think a guy that can really help elevate the way we play. He's very crafty. He's got that New York, New Jersey kind of swag to him in game, where it's fun to watch and it certainly can be fun to play with. So we're really excited about that. And then Blake Harper, a young man out of Washington, D.C. His nickname is the Mayor because everybody in D.C. knows him. Sweet kid, one of the best young men that you'll find walking the face of this planet, and probably will be the future mayor of Washington, D.C. But a 6'6" kid that's probably still growing and has range out to 26, 27 feet. Just really, really can shoot it. He's a lefty, kind of slings it, but really competes at a high level, shoots it at a high level, and has a high level of basketball IQ and intelligence that we really need and think it's going to help us down the road. So, some of our guys that, we have some transfer guys that are coming in that we're really excited about and really looking forward to this upcoming season where, I probably, I'm putting it out there. I think we got a chance to be special and unique. So I'm not running from it. It's something that I want our guys to understand and talk about. So I'm excited for this upcoming year.
Okay. All right. And that's great to hear. You know, it's always terrific when our HBCUs get top level athletes. I know the DMV for a very long time had been a hotbed for basketball recruits. Like I said, DeMatha, and some of the other competitors there in the area, just had, Dunbar and, you know, all these other programs that I remember when I think it was USA Today or one of the publications used to publish the national rankings, the national top 20 for high school, and you would always see those programs there. So, like I said, getting the mayor, I know that had to be one of the feathers in your cap.
It was huge. It was huge. He's, like you mentioned, Mr. Rice, the DMV is such a rich basketball area. When we looked at it and kind of evaluated prospects from the ninth grade to the 12th, we found just in the DMV that there's probably around 150 Division One prospects in those three classes alone. And so it is really, really a rich area of basketball tradition and culture. When you talk about some of the different high schools, Dunbar, DeMatha, Gonzaga, Archbishop Carroll, Paul VI now, it's just is more of a new wave, new era kind of upstart. Um, there's so many schools that are here. At one point in time, there were more NBA players from the DMV than any other area in the country. I think Kevin Durant and a couple other guys did a documentary called "In the Water," which was really well done. And the same for the number of Division One college basketball players. There was more from the DMV than any other area in the country at one point in time. So, we have great coaches, we have great trainers, we have great AAU programs that are here, and I think they all kind of work together to really enhance the basketball uh, community that we have here in Washington D.C.
Okay. Okay. And so, and I guess many people probably do not know that the DNV is also one of the top areas as far as the number of HBCUs. Many of them are in the MEAC, but not all of them are in the MEAC. And I mean, yeah, we know about many of the schools in like Alabama and North Carolina, but the DMV also, Virginia just by itself, Maryland, it's so. What is that like having all those HBCUs in that area? Is it a hard sell to convince an athlete in the area to go to an HBCU?
I think with, as you mentioned, so many schools that are in this vicinity. What happens is there's such a rich tradition and culture of and knowledge of HBCUs. A lot of people's parents went to an HBCU, or their grandparents went to an HBCU. Like, somebody in some black family had someone go to an HBCU. So if you're sitting around at the barbecue or at the dinner table at Thanksgiving or Christmas, and you're fellowshipping with your family, I'm pretty sure HBCUs is a topic of conversation. And to have so many in this vicinity, and now, Mr. Rice, to have the CIAA tournament here in Baltimore.
Mhm.
Wow, that becomes the CIAA tournament is an event. It is a full week of just you know black excellence from every single thing that takes place at that tournament, and the activities that surround that tournament. So it is a neat area, and like I said, it's kind of neat to be able to showcase all the universities that are in this area, but also I think the representation of the families that have gone to these universities, and the tradition of continuing to have legacies attend after they have gone.
Okay. Well, let's talk about Howard. It has an impeccable reputation. The various alumni who have gone out in various areas to do different things, including our Vice President of the United States. What are some of the major programs there at Howard, and what majors do your athletes tend to take? I know you've already mentioned one of them is a law student, which is also the major that our vice president obtained at Howard.
Well, I mean, I feel like, Vice President Harris is a member of our staff. We've done so many presentations over the last 4 or 5 years since I've been here. And in every presentation, we're always talking about her and honoring her and recognizing the greatness that she's achieved while she was here and since she has graduated and left our university. When you look at it, I mean, we have the first Black Vice President of the United States. We have the first Black U.S. Supreme Court Justice with Thurgood Marshall, the first Black U.S. Ambassador, Andrew Young, the first Black woman to vote in a major election, Marianne Shad Carey, the first Black governor of Virginia with Governor Wilder, the first Black mayor of New York. There's so many of the alums that have created a legacy for themselves and for us to be standing on the shoulders of giants. It's kind of phenomenal. So we don't take that lightly. And when we recruit student athletes, I think we have 7 kids either in undergrad or in business school receiving their masters in our business school. And our business school is a top 20 business school in America. We have someone in law school. We have someone getting their PhD in literature. We have some people in our sports management major. So when you look at it, we have a well-rounded group of young men that are all doing things. We're going to have some guys coming in that are going to be doing some computer information majors next year and looking to diversify some more in those different majors. But, Howard produces more Black PhDs than any other university in the country. The number of lawyers that we've produced, the number of entrepreneurs, successful entrepreneurs, the people that are in politics. I know at one time we had more people on Capitol Hill than any other university in the country. And that's HBCU or PWI. So it's just a place that has stood for excellence for so long. And again, it's what an honor that I can say a little kid from uptown Washington, D.C. is, having a chance to, touch the lives of the future of our world.
And once again, I don't think a lot of people realize the impact that HBCUs have had. You just mentioned the stat about politics, of Howard having more on Capitol Hill at one point than anyone else. And then you have other institutions like Xavier of Louisiana, producing more doctors than any program, PWI or HBCU. And there's several others. And I don't know why they do not receive the same publicity, especially academically, that their PWI counterparts receive. And you played at one of the top academic PWIs in the country.
Yes, sir.
What do you see as far as the academic differences between like say and you also mentioned your experience in the Ivy League.
Yeah.
What do you see as far as the difference in academics between those schools and Howard?
Well, the couple of things that I talk about all the time, Mr. Rice, is this. One is that I love being on the campus of Howard University. I mean, I love it. And the major part that I love is I see young people, young men and women, Black, brown, whatever, striving to be the best version of themselves that they can be. They want to be the next president of the United States or the next president of their country. They want to be the next big hedge fund capital person. They want to be the next great doctor, the next great lawyer. Like they are coming here with aspirations and ambitions that are, you know, striving for greatness. And that's what I saw when I was at Harvard, or that's when I saw when I was at Columbia. That's what I saw when I was at Duke University. Um, I think the difference is that at an HBCU, from what I understand, and certainly at Howard, we have a community of uh, family representatives and faculty members that you know put your arms around them and make sure that they are nurtured and developed and groomed in a way that allows them to have the greatest amount of success possible. And that's academically, that's socially, and that's also spiritually. So our students, I think, when they leave, they're as whole and complete and ready to go take on the world as possible. And that's what I love about this place.
Okay. Well, to finish out our talk about Howard, can you explain the Mecca? What I mean, Howard is known as the Mecca. Can you explain what that is, what that culture is?
Yeah, the Mecca is Black excellence. It is a place that people gather to become great and try to, you know, try to reach excellence and share ideas. They share thoughts. They share love. They share education. It's kind of neat. I went to the African American Museum, I think, on Saturday, and while there, we're walking through, and it was such a powerful experience to see how much um, input that Howard University and people that have attended Howard have had on our country. Howard University is all over that museum. And it's such a neat thing to kind of witness and understand because it's not things that people are teaching in our classrooms. And people are trying to eliminate that in our classrooms. So, um, you know, it was just really cool to see. And I think that is what really encapsulates the term the Mecca. Like it is Black excellence um, personified.
Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate that because I said it. Howard has that reputation, and there are, even though there are a lot of quality HBCUs, I would say all of them are quality institutions. Um, the ones that kind of stick out when you say HBCUs are your Howards and your Morehouses, your Spelmans, FAMU, and many others, and all of them, North Carolina A&T, and like I said, all of these institutions have top programs, not just athletically, but also academically, and they produce top alumni around the country. And so, like I said, that even goes down to our small HBCUs, your Central States and Xavier's and Dillard's, and so many other. And I know I'm not getting a kickback from any of them, but I am glad that you explained, what it means, to be the Mecca, because there's no PWIs that can make that claim, no HSIs that can make that claim, no Native American institutions that can make that claim. That claim is solely belongs to Howard. So thank you very much for explaining that. Um, and you kind of touched on this earlier, but what are some of or what kind of support do you receive um, for your program from the administration, the students, as well as from the community?
Yeah, it's kind of funny because I just recently had this conversation, and someone was asking about like, what do you need to be successful? I said the only thing I need is two baskets and a basketball. That's it. Like if we got two baskets and a basketball, I'm good. And that's kind of how I look at it. You know, it's obviously, you know, there's things that the support that is needed I want for our players. It's about them and their educational experience. So I always talk about how I want them to be mentally, physically, and spiritually more whole when they leave than when they start. And that's so important to me. We work with a sports psychologist, Dr. Joe Carr. Um, we work with Dr. Ray Solano with, you know, chiropractic work and massages. We work with Coach Debbie Tannehill on yoga. Um, you know, we do things in a way like where we travel and how we eat. You know, we when we travel and we eat at restaurants, we only eat at black restaurants because we want to support black restaurants and keep our money, our black dollars in the black community. Um, you know, when we stay at hotels, we want to make sure that our players get the maximum amount of rest they need. So all the things that we do is built for them to have success and, you know, and to have a great student experience. So when they leave here and, you know, they whatever they do in the next 40 to 50 years after playing basketball, I want them to always remember that Howard has a special place in their heart, but also to come back and give back. You know, it's important for our players to serve, lead, and give back. And if they can contribute in understanding that, you know, giving their time or their money back to Howard is important, you know, I want them to do that when they are in position to be able to do that. It's important for the next generation of young men and women coming behind them to be able to have the same type of experience. And those things all help. You know, when you look at a couple stats from Howard, over 70% of Howard's student body is a first generation student, which is, you know, and then we have over 70% of our student population that's on some type of financial aid. And when you look at those two boxes, that student would have had my picture all over that box if that was you know, something that was there back in that day. So it's important for us to really, I think, understand those things, but
Mhm.
also be able to support that and support those students as well. So even with our managerial program, we have a unusually large managerial program. We have over 100 managers.
Mhm.
And the reason is because, you know, with those two stats of first time students attending universities and, you know, students that are in need of financial aid, probably a lot of those students haven't had a chance to have mentors or internships or resume experience. So if we can provide those things to our students in a way that help, you know, get them up and running in the future and internships and, you know, different connections and resources, we're going to provide that for them. So that's kind of how we look at it in our program from a holistic point of view. Certainly really important that I think, you know, doing that, especially at an HBCU where a lot of our kids haven't had the exposure probably that some of the PWI students have had.
Mhm. Mhm. And you saying that just made me realize how fortunate I was graduating from high school. I was accepted at Howard. I didn't even apply to Howard, but then after I took my ACTs, I received a letter in the mail saying, "Hey, your scores have contributed you to being accepted here at Howard University. We need you to apply," and things like that. And then also with one of my parents also being an HBCU alum, really, um, he pushed a lot of Alabama HBCUs because he is from Alabama, and so push institutions I had never heard of up to that particular point, hey, consider this one, well, we're going down to Alabama, so we're going to take you to the campus. And so I visited quite a few campuses down in Alabama. And then, of course, unfortunately, the finances weren't there for me to go to some of the schools that I wanted to go to, like a Howard or a Morehouse, and even some of those Alabama institutions. So I ended up going to the local community college, served in the military, earned more college money for doing that, and then ended up graduating from Kentucky State University, which I do not regret at all. And like I said, what you just said made me realize how fortunate I was, that I had a different experience. I guess I really did not realize. I've heard it for years. I did not realize how high of a percentage of our youth are first generation. So,
That's a wonderful story, and thank you for sharing it. It's
mhm,
it's challenging, and I was talking to Daniel Marks, who's on our staff this morning, about the cost of college,
mhm,
and you know what it will be in another 11 years when my daughter Naomi is going to college. And
mhm,
you know, fortunately, we can start a college fund for her. And my wife and I both are college graduates, so understanding what that journey means and what that path means and looks like, we have the information. But
mhm.
I didn't have that information. I didn't have a college fund, and if it wasn't for athletics and mentors that I had in my life, that wouldn't have happened. Probably it was, my journey would have been a lot different. So to hear your journey and how you had to, start at a community college and military, and then finish up at Kentucky State, firstly, congratulations on that and being resilient and persevering. And it's not so many people want things to be so seamless in a straight line. It's not that, Mr. Rice, and you know it. That thing goes like this. It
Mhm,
goes, and that was one of the lessons that we had to share with our team this year. It's
mhm,
not going to be a straight line. It's not. It was, we're over here, and that road goes over there, and then this road goes. Then it may be a hill, and after the hill, it may be a drop, and but to be resilient, to be present, to persevere, and keep taking one foot in front of the next is what we all have to do when we wake up every morning. Even if we have great days or if we don't have great days, we still can do that, and that will keep us moving in the right direction.
right, right. And that's great too, that you in common phrase, that you keep it real with your athletes. I've always believed that, especially when I taught. Um, that was one of my main attributes with my students, that I kept it real with them. I didn't sugarcoat anything, and I didn't play around with them, because their lives are too precious and too important, especially when you are dealing with, it seems like, many of our students and athletes are high risk. And so, you don't know what they're going through and what they're thinking. But, to let them share, or to share your experiences with them, to let them know about maybe some of your struggles and how you overcame, I think is invaluable to many of them. I know I've had a few who have come to me and thanked me, for my stance, and not sugarcoating things for them, like maybe some of my peer teachers were doing. And
Yeah,
so that's
no,
great.
no. The greatest gift I think we can give people, athletes, students, or anything, is just the ability to believe in them,
Mhm,
and that goes so long. That goes a long way. And if our young men and women understand that you believe in them, and you think and understand that their worth and their value is what they see themselves as, and you can see probably a little bit further what their worth and value is because you have some life experience. um, it goes so far in help shaping those young people's lives for the future. So that, I have so much belief in our young people, to know that they are going to go out and do some incredible things. And they just need some guidance and some partnering along the way that continues to help them stay in that lane that they need to be in to continue to have the success that they're going to have. So I'm all for it, man. I give my heart and soul to our program and to our kids.
Right. And you mentioned earlier some of your support staff that you have a psychiatrist on staff, you have a yoga instructor on staff, and that's not something that most programs have. That's not something that most athletic programs have. And I do usually ask a question about how coaches handle the mental health aspects of coaching, especially when it comes to athletes, since so many we are having so many more athletes who are succumbing to mental health pressures. Um, can you talk a little bit more about the advantages of having those two specific people on your staff?
Yeah, it's been unbelievable. I think, coming out of COVID, where basically, the world was shut down for a period of time. We had young people in the prime of their high school lives and their college lives that were basically forced to withdraw from society for several years. And honestly, I think once the data is all said and done with this down the road, it's going to be interesting to know, how what that looks like and what it feels like. But just understanding how it affected me as a person, understanding that I couldn't go to the store freely, right? I what we were doing every day in the household was just so different and so unique. Scrubbing our groceries down with Clorox wipes and wearing masks, wearing gloves, whatever those safety precautions that we were utilizing to have comfort in our home and as a family. I know those other people, within our structure or our family in terms of our basketball program was experiencing that as well. So I thought it was really important for our group to really have the support needed in order to be able to move forward and to move forward with more clarity, move forward with to understand that though these times were challenging and difficult, we understand and we're here with you, and we feel what you guys were, or we hear what you guys were going through. um, and it was a big part of, I think, the success that we had, Mr. Rice, to be able to utilize those resources of, sports psychologists in that sense. And then, with the unique, I think, practices of yoga, understanding how to breathe and become centered, and you know to meditate, to have more clarity was also important for us as well. But the yoga part also is really beneficial for us because it allows, I think, us to be a lot more preventative with injuries, and also some things that really benefit us from a basketball standpoint. So, like I said, everything we do is utilized for our student athletes. Like all the resources that we have, it goes back to them. We just try to make sure that their experience as students and as athletes is a wonderful one, and that they when they leave here, they don't feel like they compromise anything by coming to Howard University.
Okay. Well, Coach, as we prepare to start winding down, um, this is a time that we definitely want to recognize people who have contributed to your success. So, can you tell us a bit about some of your biggest influences as a coach?
Yeah, well, it starts with me with my mom. She was someone that not only gave me, I think, a great foundation of what work looks like, gave us a great spiritual foundation as well, and a moral foundation, and blessed me with some incredible athletic genes that allowed me to be able to pay for my education and position me for opportunities that I've been able to have through life, because all those opportunities have come basically because of athletics. So very grateful for that. I had some incredible coaches with Coach Morgan Wooten, Coach Mike Krzyzewski, some coaches that people have never heard of with, Buddy Burkett and Fluff Parker, some local grassroots guys that are here, being able to work with Coach Ed Hill from one of the boys clubs here in Washington, D.C. that is a big part of, HBCU culture at Howard University and here in Washington, D.C. Through mentors like, Jeff John. He was a guy that would allow me to come to his house. His son and one of my best friends from high school, we were teammates, and Mr. John knew that I had some areas academically that I needed to improve on. So I would go study at his house from Sunday through Thursday night and spend 2 to 3 hours there a night to get me up to speed academically and, get ahead of the game if needed. So I'm very lucky and fortunate to have some incredible people. And now my wife and my daughter are people in my life that are, dealing with my shenanigans every day as a coach and keeping me sane. And so that's been, an incredible blessing as well. So I have an incredible core group of people. My brother, Billy Blakeney, my sister, Catherine Blakeney, are always there and supportive, and just a tight-knit, close group of support from family and friends. So very blessed and fortunate for that.
Okay. All right. Well, next is your chance to shout out whoever you want to shout out.
Yeah, I really appreciate all the things that you do. Like, thank you, and having this forum to be able to communicate and fellowship about some very important topics is, truly special. So I want to shout you out and give you your flowers, my man. This is really cool, and to have these conversations, they're meaningful conversations. And I know the amount of time you spend preparing for this and what you're putting into it. So I want to shout you out. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, Coach, we definitely want to thank you for participating in this chat. We hope that you and your program continue to succeed, and we will definitely keep following you. Derek is he's terrific. He keeps the word out about Howard athletics, and so we definitely he makes it easier for us to follow what you do. I'll put it that way.
Definitely appreciate it. And anything that you ever need from us, please don't hesitate. We're here for you. We believe in what you do, and definitely want to support in any kind of way we can.
Yes, sir. And we also want to thank you, the viewers, for watching this episode of Chat with HBCU Champions. Please visit ricefame.org for more information on replays and more HBCU information. And please have a blessed week.
Yeah. Now I'm talking about young shakes. I know to represent Jesse James. And this for my city. Hey, I do it for my city. Dog, I don't play
plan on going down. If he think I'm going down, then he gone first round. For my city, dog, I ain't never been a chump. And if he thinking I'm a chump, watch him get his head up. For my city, cause I feel like I love her so much, like I owe her so much, but supplying her touch, I will always respect her, I will never neglect her. Bet you hear her naming like every one of my records. No, I'm not stunting, ain't no future in your frontin', right? Gotta get this money, watch me get it all night. Planet flying top flight, higher than space stations. That's why I gotta grind, cause I need it and I hate waiting.